Good morning and welcome. My name is Michele Floriani. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Sequoia, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our continued Return to Work webinar series. Today we have a focus spotlighting the Sequoia Tech Program and really how the Sequoia Tech Program can potentially play a role in getting a real smart healthcare and well-being approach as you think about your return to work strategy and your work from home and COVID era approach. So before we dive in, as we always do, just remind everyone we have guests here today, the experts from the HR field as well as partners, and they're sharing their opinions, but we always advise, of course, that you consult with your own professional advisors. This topic's continually evolving, and so anything really referenced today may not apply, in weeks to come. So just stay calibrated on that. Our agenda and how we'll spend some time today together as we look at the Sequoia Tech Program. We'll do, as we've been doing lately, some announcements from Sequoia, using this as an opportunity to just kind of keep you updated on what's happening here. We'll actually look at the history and a little bit of the fundamentals behind the Sequoia Tech Program. We have folks here who've been part of the program for many years, and we have folks who are maybe hearing about it for the first time and interested to understand it. I think understanding the history and the philosophy behind the program is a really important thing to getting a full value and appreciation of it. So we'll do that. We'll actually do a little demo on some of the new stuff that's going on. And then I'm really excited to have 4 people joining us today. 2 clients. We have Heather Houston from Mosaic and Carmen from Sage. Very excited to have them share some of their observations and talk about what they're doing in their programs and how the Sequoia Tech Program is helping them and has historically helped them. And then, the Sequoia Tech Program has always been fueled by awesome partner innovation, and 2 of the partners we're highlighting today, One Medical, who's been with us since really the beginning and been a kind of staple component of the Sequoia program, and Rightway, one of the newest and hottest partners, and one that's being really appreciated. So we have both of them here to also kind of share some of their insights, and then we'll close out the session. So as a reminder, as always, everyone's kind of in participant mode, so you don't have to worry about, all of a sudden showing up on screen or being heard or anything like that. We always welcome people to use the questions feature. We don't have time today for Q&A, but we always read them. We factor them into future content, so you can leave comments there from everything from, it'd be great to hear about this next time, to specific questions about the content today. We certainly do our best to get back to you on that. So please make good use of that if it's useful for you. Okay, so kind of announcing things at the beginning of these webinars is kind of becoming a thing, putting a little pressure on our webinar cadence, but there have always been great things to announce as a very innovative time for Sequoia. On our first webinar, which I believe was like in mid-April, around the Return to Work series, we announced the Sequoia Return to Work framework, and that was used as a way to kind of size up the problem and ultimately the solutions for sizing up your return to work strategy, whether that was going to happen at the time. I think a lot of us thought it was going to happen around the corner, or, for the folks that come back to the office, for those who don't, it's a very useful way to size up what needs to get done and how to approach it. It was actually the framework that was used to shape our Return to Work Center, which was the announcement of the follow-up webinar. Then a couple of weeks after that, we actually launched the detailed and illustrated version of the Return to Work playbook. Again, just one of many things out there that I think a whole host of people have generated to help companies size up their strategy of when and where and how to return to the workplace. Last webinar, we announced the general availability of Sequoia Wellbeing in HRX. So our management tool comes with being a Sequoia client. And we highlighted the well-being features. And just to remind folks, this was like the fully functional software experience that brought all your well-being programs. And we highlighted some things, including the launch that day of Sequoia bundles. And we showed you how the connection between the HRX side and the Sequoia mobile app, the PX side, and how that ran on the platform. What we're announcing today is actually an expansion of the Sequoia bundles for well-being. And we're really excited. We got a lot of feedback right away. People loved the concept, appreciated the affordability and on the streamlined part of it. But there's a lot of use cases folks wanted. And we had made some initial kind of assumptions on tiers and how to package it for folks. And then with your feedback, so thank you for that, packaged up more options. So basically it's expanded now. There's more use cases that are more sensitive to either themes or levels of investments that you may want to make as a client. But regardless, the bundle set they come in, they have the same themes of really unmatched affordability and really unmatched administration eases. You can turn these on in HRX and push them out to the employees with real ease, and there's all the support and things you would need for that. So excited to say our demo today will actually be to go into HRX and show you how those how those well-being bundles will be laid out in HRX so you can understand and be more comfortable about that as you go in. So let's begin. This whole webinar series has essentially been about our people and putting them in the center of a discussion of how do our businesses deal with the challenges, the risks, the obligation to take care of people with so much turbulence and so much uncertainty in our future, whether it's economic or otherwise. And so we've kind of approached that from different angles. And certainly if you've been in management or HR or anything responsible for running a business these days, you know there's been a whole lot thrown at you. And the spirit of today is actually revisiting how a program like Sequoia Tech can play a role in navigating that path for you, that path forward. And there are certain qualities I think you'll appreciate through today's webinar about the Sequoia Tech program that actually are a great fit for the times we're going through right now as companies. So I'm excited to kind of unpack that for you and have our guests kind of talk about it in their words and in their perspectives as well. One of the things that's really unique about Sequoia Tech is that since day one, it's been fueled by the community behind it. Community of partners, community of clients, of course, other experts, and a lot of innovation. And it's been a really kind of part of the secret sauce because within that we've developed the critical mass to really change a lot of things. The innovation that's happened, we'll kind of put it in the map. We'll talk about what some of the forces were that kind of brought the Sequoia Tech to being. The partnerships, so the relationships and the trust, and to the credit of our partners who really saw the vision and said, I'd like to be a part of that, and I'd like to be part of making a difference. The influence that this Sequoia Tech community's had on the innovation at Sequoia, on the vendor innovation. It's hard to put into words and hard to put into a webinar, but it's been real. We're very proud of Sequoia Tech program because in a lot of ways, without the Sequoia Tech community, the clients and the partners doing what we've been able to do since 2013, I think you could argue there would not be a Sequoia mobile app. There would be probably no Sequoia One. The platform would have been hard to justify. But because of what was happening in Sequoia Tech, the companies that were involved, the critical mass, the influence we were having in what was happening in the ecosystem, and ultimately the impact we were having in people's lives, it was very easy, certainly for Sequoia, to rationalize continued investment in you guys and build that kind of those pieces like mobile and HRX and continued innovation really made it possible. And so that's why we're actually quite proud, and hopefully we don't come across as like overbearing proud parents, but we do take a lot of pride in not only the relationships that have shaped this, but also the results that have come from it. So thank you for that. There's been a lot of great moments. This is back when a lot of people used to be able to hang out in a room together, but there's a lot of cool history and conversations that hopefully you've all benefited from if you've been with us for those years. So today I'm going to kind of focus, our guests are going to be folks who really sometimes not out in front and on stage talking about things, but with folks that have really been behind the scenes making the program run. And I'm going to start on the Sequoia side, and two people who have been certainly pulling the sled of the many at Sequoia on the Sequoia Tech program are our own Mark Morgan and Chantel Saniga. And so I'm very excited to have them kind of tell the story here of Sequoia Tech. So welcome, Mark and Chantel. Thanks for being here today. Mark, let's start with you. Yeah, let's start with you. So a little bit of history, like how did Sequoia Tech Program come to be, and what were its goals when we first started in 2013?
Yeah, so really the most direct forcing function for Sequoia Tech was responding to the big market pressure at that time, which was the introduction and start of the Affordable Care Act. So that brought with it quite a few regulatory burdens, and creating the pooled insurance model that is sort of the foundation of tech really allowed companies to avoid or adapt to many of the Affordable Care Act regulations in a smart and streamlined way. So that was really one of the first things. And then the other piece was that we had really seen the continuing importance and emergence of HR technology and systems. So really finding a way to create a streamlined way to integrate with a lot of those systems was a really important goal. Just as a quick story, one of my first jobs at Sequoia was actually to fax paper enrollment forms over to carriers. I spent almost 2 hours every morning coming into the office, faxing enrollment forms, and then following up over the phone. And I'm not that old, so that was really not that long ago. And one of the things we were hoping, for my own selfish personal reasons, hoping to avoid.
Yeah, amen. And so there's been a lot of innovation. You alluded to kind of the start with ACA, but the real, banner has been really the ongoing innovation. I have a slide here just with a little bit of history of the last couple of years, but talk a little bit about that and what it's meant.
Yeah, it's always, like I sort of referenced, Sequoia Tech built on sort of a foundation of a pooled insurance model that has really allowed us to have different economies of scale and be able to adapt quickly to changing market conditions. So over the last 7 years, that's meant expanding some of the analytics and things we're able to provide to companies, bundling in additional well-being offerings and vendors like you referenced with One Medical and Rightway, and also like I referenced with the HR technology, when we started in 2013, we were only compatible with one system. That's expanded to 5 different systems on the Ben admin side that we can work with. So, and then going forward in the new COVID world, that sort of flexibility and innovation allows us to bring in things like the wellness bundles and other things like that.
Very cool. Yeah, so today we have, 75,000 lives in the pool, right? With all the folks. I think, it's just exciting. I mean, basically the way I think about it is if you're a VC-backed tech company, you have to take a look at this because it's been designed for you. This is not a program that's, trying to be all things to all people. There's a very specific profile. And thankfully, those profiles have pretty consistent needs of wanting to take care of their people, wanting to have a lot of the modern vendors and things that really express their cultural beliefs, as well as it truly does take care of the both acute and long-term health needs of people. So let me go over to Chantel. Hey, Chantel.
Hi.
Maybe talk a little bit about just the kind of the offering design and what's covered in it for folks who aren't as familiar.
Yeah, so Sequoia Tech has always focused on bringing benefits, technology, and our service together for our clients, really helping to, first one, improve the employee experience and also help streamline the administration. So benefits, it's complicated, can be scary at times. So we really focus on making it simple and easy for employees to use, because we want them to access their benefits and be able to utilize all these, and also make it easy for for our clients to understand it and, make sure their employees are able to take advantage of these services. So with that, we have, great carrier partners. We offer consolidated invoicing. I don't know if anybody has seen line items invoicing coming from the carriers. Not so fun, but we have a team that focused to help consolidate that for our tech clients. Cobra is included. A lot of these things that are usually outside that you have to handle come all bundled together in Sequoia Tech. And with that, I think Mark alluded to it, but we focus on integrations with HRS systems and the data with carriers to really bring this together in our Sequoia platform. So with Sequoia Tech, it's easy to utilize HRX and send communications to your employees with our Sequoia PX with the mobile app, and they can see everything that's included in the program all in one place. So you can find what you're looking for. I know for me, I think it was maybe a week into being shelter in place, and I wake up and my son has an eye infection, and I'm like, okay, great. I don't really want to go into the doctor's office. Where do I go from here? Right. And I was able to log on to my mobile app, pick virtual care and get a prescription ordered for him, and make that office visit same day really easy, which is great with a toddler.
Yeah, I bet. And that's really what it's about. It's having that full package. And that's what it's really been, again, like compliments to our partners who've always seen, the value of this approach and, brought in their services and have worked with us to integrate and work with us to make the mobile app really a single point of access to that. Regardless where you are, if you're at home or you're up in the mountains or you're in the office, you have access to that care where you need it, from, healthcare all the way to the well-being. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We have on the program, there's a flexibility in benchmark plan designs and, a lot of added features like One Medical that really make access to care easy. And then Rightway, having a virtual offering to help.
Very cool. Thank you, Chantel. So leaders love the streamline, the value, the predictability. I'll ask Mark to talk a little bit about the pool modeled approach, because that is pretty significant. I think on the employee side, it's really about the experience. And the app does make it so tangible because everyone sees it in one place and can access that, whether it's the advocacy support or the educational or just the discovery. When they actually do need something, go in the app and discover it. It's right there, part of the program. Mark, I alluded to the pooling concept, which was quite, our approach was a little bit innovative at the time, but certainly is where the value got unlocked. So can you just kind of explain that for folks who maybe aren't as familiar with the mechanics of that?
Yeah, so as you can sort of see here, the basic idea behind tech is that we're pooling together smaller companies from about 100 up to 2,500, 3,000 employees that are all pooled together. And so that allows for some greater stability and economies of scale to both work with other partners, like I mentioned, but also sort of have low fixed costs on a lot of our insurance plans, and advantages that would not normally be available to companies, on their own at 200, 300, 400 employees, or like I said, up to over 1,000. So, and also in sort of current times with, uncertainty on maybe headcounts, employees maybe being furloughed, staying on benefits, moving around, having that ability to be pooled with other similar companies allows to take out some of the risk that some of those demographic or enrollment changes that might come about from fluctuating headcounts. So overall, just able to provide some stability and certainty going forward, being part of that larger pool.
Very cool. Thank you. And so we alluded to the well-being bundles, but tech comes with a real foundation intact of well-being vendors. Just a little bit about the strategy and philosophy of what we try to cover with that.
Yeah, so just really making sure that we have, you know, a different, you know, and expansive lineup of partners and vendors that, as Chantel was referencing, you know, allow you to access care and then also, you know, take care of you on some other non-healthcare things like financial wellness or even, you know, things for everyone's four-legged furry friends.
Yeah, chalking up for the pets for sure. And so where you can expand from Sequoia Tech, and this is where we're excited to show you today, is like with that foundation in place, there's actually a whole set of bundles. We've moved to this nomenclature here because there's actually so many variables. We just label them as numbers. But you'll see the ingredients within each bundle set that matters. And there's some specifically prescribed for Sequoia Tech that just accommodate for or account for what you already have in your Sequoia Tech program, are very natural extensions. So whether you want to go after some themes or just elevate in general, there's a very natural path that you could consider for your well-being strategy. And then all these are very kind of COVID-centric themes and obviously mobile first and integrated through HRX and Sequoia mobile apps. So very cool thing to check out. You know, whether you're new or long timer on the Sequoia Tech program, these are tailor-made for the program. So Chantel, a couple quick pieces on some of the administrative and system support. So the Sequoia Benefits Portal, give us a quick soundbite on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. So bringing it all together on the Sequoia platform, one of the foundation pieces of that is, you know, we brought in-house a benefit admin system that we have in-house support that can really provide the Sequoia service that we want to deliver to our clients and also help streamline getting us that data and providing that with our partners. But if you've already have HRS systems, right, that you're used to working with and want to partner, we do have the flexibility on the program to partner. So these are kind of what Mark alluded to earlier, but just giving you the flexibility to partner with some of these other systems, and they, you know, seamlessly integrate with us and help contribute to the Sequoia platform.
Very cool. And then you referred to premium reconciliation and what a fun pastime that is, but maybe just give a couple more words on just what people get from the service.
Yeah, part of Sequoia Tech, instead of, you know, going like, you know, getting it paper form or seeing it line by line, we actually created a dashboard where you can get a summary high level of your monthly invoice from the, that would be coming from the carriers, but instead we use your Ben admin system data to send and tell the carriers what you're paying for your premiums that month. So all in one great dashboard. Kind of the start, I think, of HRX came of giving our HR admins access to this dashboard.
Yeah, yeah. On my desk in San Mateo, I sat next to this team, and let me tell you, they're special-minded people that crank through and organize all this stuff on behalf of our clients. And I can see the value firsthand because would not be how I'd like to spend my time, but they have the right mindset and the right process for it, and they crank it out, which is really cool. So thank you, Lita and team, for that. Okay, so quickly, in summary, you know, Sequoia Tech, we've designed it for tech companies, the benchmark plans you heard of, the dedicated service teams so that can augment your staff, obviously streamlining the Ben admin system if you want to take advantage of the team and the integrations and everything that come with Sequoia Tech, and the invoicing and the platform, which is so becoming increasingly strategic now because, you know, it's one thing to have your healthcare plans and programs connected on the management side and the experience side, but as we've been talking since, you know, April, it's really important if the policies, the information, the education materials, the management of your return to work strategy is also in that same plane of glass, if you will, for both management and of course, employees. And it's all in that same kind of, you know, enterprise grade and privately managed environment. And it's also the natural extension, of course, for your robust well-being. Again, taking advantage of the fact that just employees alone just have one place to go wherever they are in the world, but you can orchestrate and manage what you want to be in that mobile app from HRX. So connected experience. And so I just want to take a moment to invite up Kalina, our Director of Wellbeing, to give everyone just a glimpse of what launched today in HRX in terms of the expanded Wellbeing bundle. So Kalina, how are you? Are you there?
Great. Hi, yeah, can you hear me?
I can. You sound great. And can you just give people a little bit of a preview of what they would find in HRX today if they go in?
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we'll see if we can do a live demo for you all. Can you see that okay, McKelly?
Looks great. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, nice to meet everyone. For those of you I haven't, I'm Kalina Quibell, the Wellbeing Director at Sequoia. So super excited to tag on to what Mark and Chantel and McKelly were just talking about and dive a little bit deeper into well-being. So as mentioned, HRX is an amazing tool. When you log in, you'll see this dashboard with your Sequoia team, actions you have, some amazing insights. I'm particularly going to focus on anything related to the well-being side as we talk about the bundles. So if you click on the left side, you'll get to see this beautiful news feed that the team's been working really hard on. Similar to your LinkedIn, Facebook news feed, this is going to be curated with really helpful content and updates from both our team as well as carriers and different vendors that you're using. There's some new features that have been added maybe since the last time we talked in terms of the ways that you can save different articles. You can find things for your people, which means you can share them really quickly with them directly to the mobile phone, which is awesome, or through email and links. I like to save all my articles I really like. I'll just heart them, and you can find them under like, and then bookmarking things as well. If you click this little bookmark, you'll be able to save all your favorite articles to easily reference there. We also have some great search features. So if you want to search for mental health, for example, you can find all sorts of great articles that are really timely related to mental health and things going on. So without further ado, I'm going to go straight into the bundles. We actually just posted something this morning acknowledging this release. So if you go into your news feed, you should see this at the top or pretty close to. You can click this link and go directly into the bundles. And it will take you over to the well-being section. So again, if you try to navigate this, this is always on your left in well-being. So I'm going to walk you through some of the new selections. As you can see, there's a lot of new different combinations of those fan favorite vendors that we really have loved partnering with and have been a great resource for our team. When you click into the bundles, and I'll show you a few of these, let's go ahead and click on W9. This is a $9 PPM bundle, so great value. When you click into details, you'll see how it looks and a little bit of different offerings within the bundle. So you can go ahead and read about what the bundle is. You can see based on your current head count what your approximate cost would look like. And then when you click into the different vendors, so I'll go ahead and click into Headspace, you'll see this overview of what exactly the service entails as it relates to the bundle itself. So this is everything that you would get should you purchase a bundle. There's a quick video on it. We have all sorts of resources that are helpful, as well as FAQs to see how exactly you do it. And then we are starting to see more and more people put these reviews. So Amandeep from Planet Labs, actually one of our clients, already using the bundles. They launched it right when COVID started, said it was such a lifesaver to help people, be able to use tools that could ground them, easy implementation and maximum impact. So encourage you all to share your reviews as well. For vendors you haven't heard of, like Ginger, you can click into these, search a little bit about the program, and again, resources are an amazing tool to help you dig a little bit deeper and see not just FAQs, but what promotional materials would look like if you were to roll out the program. If you click into the FAQs, this read frequently asked questions. This is a great way to find out how exactly the program works. For example, how would I get billed? You can search billing and easily find how exactly that would work. So encourage you to check all these out and find further questions. And if you have a question that you don't see here, the team's always here to help. If I go back to see the bundles, obviously there's a lot of different programs. So there's also two ways that you can narrow it down. You can use the filter button. So you'll see all of the different vendors available in the bundle, and you can actually select them to see which specific bundles they're in. So Rightway, which you'll be hearing from in a minute, they're in 3 of the bundles, and if you click that, then you'll see all the different bundles that you have access to with those in there. You can also search by vendor, so say you're really interested in spring health, If you search for spring, then that will narrow down the bundles to all those that have spring health in them. Again, lots of different combinations and pricing. Our team is really here, as always, to be your consultants and help guide you through. But these tools are really helpful to summarize the bundles as well as look at different variations. If you are more interested in just signing by vendors, you can also click into this vendors tab. It'll show you all the vendors in our ecosystem as well as the bundle, so you can click into this and access more information. But again, the bundles are an awesome way to very easily select and choose a discounted offering, saving you as much as 50% on these. To quickly show you how it looks to purchase a bundle, say that you said, Kalina, W9 looks awesome. I love ginger. I could use some help with musculoskeletal and ergonomics for my employees, and we definitely need some virtual workouts in Headspace. All you do, click here, buy a bundle. You'll be able to search the terms and conditions. This sits on top of your benefits agreement, so it's really easy. No need to do all of those crazy one-off vendor contracts with all of them. You just say accept and continue and select the date you want the service to start. You're able to start a bundle on the 1st of any given month, as long as you order by the 15th of the month. So if you guys all go in here, and you can purchase a bundle anytime after September 1st now, and you would just press 2020 and go to next and set up the purchase and billing selections right there. Super, super easy. I know I went through it really quickly, but since we're tight on time, I'll go ahead and just go back to the main area, but encourage you again to check this out. As mentioned, you can find it by going to the news feed and seeing our feature on the bundles, and it will take you right there. Or when you go to Wellbeing, you can just go ahead and click into Discover and start to search the bundles here, filter them, or just go ahead and browse them all.
Awesome. Well done. Thank you. Okay, hopefully that's a good taste of something launched today. You guys are the first to see it, so thank you for sharing, Kalina. Cool. All right, can everyone see my slide again? Perfect. Taking that, that's a yes. Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Kalina, and thank you, Mark and Chantel. Appreciate it. Okay, I'd like to invite up Carmen Cooper. So Carmen is at Sage Intacct and has been part of the Sequoia Tech family for actually quite a long time. She's been a great client. It's awesome to have you on today to kind of talk a little bit about some of your experiences and just kind of where this started for you and what you're doing today and the role Sequoia Tech is playing in that. So, hi, Carmen. How are you? Do we have Carmen?
Good, thank you.
I know I saw you before. Hey, there you are. Thank you. Thanks for calling in. I know you're on the road, so I appreciate that. You're spending a little time with us, meeting a couple of my friends today. Thanks for doing it. So Carmen, as I alluded to, 2014, you guys were on the Sequoia Tech Program. Let's roll back the clock and talk a little bit about like what were you guys looking for at that time, and what were some of the factors and why this made sense for you, just so people can relate to it a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's really one real reason why we participated in Sequoia Tech back in 2014. It was, as most people know, as a small organization, you don't have as much negotiation power when it comes to benefits as a small company. And so going onto the tech program was really good because we were able to negotiate, at least part of the pool. The pooling process really allowed us to get a healthier and more robust program to be able to compete. And so as a VC funded firm, they want top talent, but if you can't offer competitive packages, it makes it really difficult. And so it was a no-brainer to get onto the pooling Sequoia Tech program to be a part of that and being able to grow our business without having to spend a significant amount on the benefit program.
Yeah, no, that makes, and just so people have a good sense, because you guys have grown a lot over this time, where were you about in 2014 employee side?
I would say we were probably around, I would say less than 200 eligible participants. As of today, we have almost about 650 eligible participants in the program. On benefits, yeah, very cool. Thank you for that.
So then let's compare then and now. So now, you guys are large and mature, but there's so much going on in the world. Maybe share with the folks today about some of the goals you have now as you guys are navigating through COVID, and how is the Sequoia Tech program helping you at this time?
Yeah, I think it's in three parts. The program has really helped us in many ways. So data insights and the ability to be able to get benchmarking data instantaneously is really important. I think for most people, even a company our size today, most of the people function really report to a CFO or somewhere in the finance organization, and explaining to them the benefits of insurance and people really has to do with numbers. So getting the data insights through this program is really helpful without having to wait for all the data and wait. Right now it's instantaneous, so it's really helpful. The other thing is the partnership with the Sequoia Tech and the advocate team. So last year alone, we had about 115 calls to the advocate team. And so that's significant. And I think for most organizations, as we grow, unfortunately, the people function doesn't always grow at the rate of the rest of the organization. We tend to kind of lag behind and operate kind of in a slim team. And so the partnership with Sequoia and the tech program and allowing us to be able to utilize some of those resources is really helpful, streamlining a lot of the invoices, and again, having extension of the customer support or the advocate team is really helpful. Right now, with 650 eligible colleagues, we have one employee who's half-time working on benefits. So we can utilize a lot of that resources elsewhere and utilize Sequoia here to be able to be that partnership for us and giving us the resources that we wouldn't have had in-house. And thirdly, it's the app program. With COVID coming on, having your ID cards available on your app. If you were to go to the doctor, if you were to do all of that, you don't actually have to touch anybody and get your card back. It's all through the app. You can email it directly to the doctors. Really good. And as we grew, our employee base has changed. So we've now had a lot of employees who are in a generation that really wants to go green. And so having an app where you're not printing out cards and having all the tools right there in front of you through their phone is so helpful for that generation. And additionally, we also have a group of generations who really like the personal touch. So the advocate team, which is an extension of us, really allows us to do. So those are really just the three main things that has really helped us significantly as we grow through, the changes in the evolution of Sage Intacct.
Well, Carmen, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, first of all, but I appreciate that and just you spending some minutes with us today. So thank you so much. Continued success at Sage Intacct. Sounds like you guys are doing a lot right, being the #1 in customer satisfaction on your side as well. So keep that up, and thanks again, and certainly enjoy the rest of your time on vacation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Okay, so from Carmen, I would like to invite up Heather Houston from Mosaic Solar. So Heather's been at Mosaic not that long, but you've been a longtime friend to Sequoia, and we've certainly had the chance to work and support you at several companies over the years. And so welcome, Heather. So awesome to have you on today.
Yes, thank you.
I want to kind of advance down the timeline. So talk a little bit about your goals and your strategy right now as your needs have evolved as you've gotten into COVID, and talk about how maybe the Sequoia Tech program has been a part of helping you respond to that, because this is something everyone's going through right now. And I think at a certain point, you got to look at, what are the resources I have today? How can I use them better for this scenario? Do you mind sharing some thoughts on that?
Sure. So initially when this all hit, our focus was just on getting people set up to work from home. Do they have the equipment that they need? Do they have the internet connection? It was a very sort of short-term focus. And then as it became clear that this was going to be going on longer term, our focus started to shift more to looking out for employee mental health and well-being. A lot of people have challenging situations with, helping their kids with remote learning or not having childcare. people feeling really overwhelmed, and there's sort of the uncertainty of it. How long is this going to go on? So really looking at our employee mental health and well-being. And Sequoia's been great in helping us with providing resources that are useful. Like a lot of HR professionals, I would imagine, we've just been inundated. There's just so much out there, and it's a lot to wade through and figure out what's really useful. And I think that Sequoia has been great at curating and providing the resources and materials that are really relevant for where we're at and what we need when we need it. So some examples is when the emergency FMLA and sick leave came out, it came out and we had to put it into place pretty quickly, and it was confusing at first. And Sequoia provided some great resources that helped us to identify what employees were eligible for and roll out those programs. And then just keeping us informed on changes, FSA elections, special open enrollments. We're in Oakland, and Oakland rolled out their own ordinances that we found out about through Sequoia, that we needed to offer more than what is required from the emergency sick leave program. And so keeping us up to date, and we're also a small team, and so keeping on top of these changes can be really challenging, and Sequoia has been a great partner in that.
Thank you. And so as you're kind of now looking at moving forward, return to work, we talked a little bit about some of the considerations you guys have. It's a dynamic time. Part of Sequoia Tech and it being on, of course, the HRX platform is that things like a return to work software or whatever people use to manage that, is something that's definitely going to touch HR as much as it touches operations and the CFO and everybody else like that. You want to share a little bit about what are you guys thinking about in terms of your approach? Because that is the kind of something we always try to highlight as we're all going through this together. Your return to work strategy considerations. What does it mean for you guys as an HR team, and how you're actually activating programs?
Sure. So our employees have actually adapted really well to working remote. A little over a month ago, we ran a survey asking people their thoughts about returning to the office. And what we found is a lot of our employees would like to continue working remote, some for concerns about COVID and some just feeling that this is working really well for them. But we do have some employees who are interested in asking when they can return to the office. And so at this point, our approach is depending on state and county guidelines. At a certain point, we would like to open our office. But for us right now, what we're thinking of in terms of opening is really just about employees having that optionality, that maybe their work at home setup is not great because of kids, roommates, their setup. And so that some employees want to have that optionality to go into the office. But to provide that optionality, we still need to do all the work. We need to create our policies and processes. Do employees have to test? Do they have to self-monitor? How do they notify us they're coming into the office? Do they have to use PPE once they're in the office? Do they, if they contract COVID or exposed to COVID after being in the office, what's the process for letting us know? So we still need to do all of that work just to provide that optionality. And the return to work platform has been a way to take all these really complex and constantly changing challenges and make it really simple. So with the partnership with 650, I could basically go in, answer really a handful of questions and get a draft policy that I can then make changes to and run by our own council. We are not going to have employees test. It's optional to come into the office once we reopen. So we're going to have them do a self-assessment, and they can do that through the Sequoia app. They'll go in, they'll answer a couple questions, and then they'll get the yes or no, they can go into the office. And then that helps us to track who was in the office on which day. And so, we're a small team juggling a lot. And so this has made it a lot easier for us to move towards providing that optionality to our employees.
Cool, thank you. Heather, everyone's going through a version of what you just described, so really appreciate you pulling up the hood and letting us hear about what you guys are thinking through and how you're approaching it. And thank you for being on today. I really appreciate getting your voice in the conversation, so thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Wonderful. So you just heard from 2 clients and want to hear now from 2 pillars. So as I alluded to earlier, One Medical has been a foundational component of the Sequoia Tech program, which is, synergistic culture, innovative company, very well loved by its end users, which is, part of the reason why they're in the mix to begin with, because of the impact and the experience that it provides the employees or your employees that use it. And so in the spirit of kind of today, I wanted to invite up Claire Worley, who is also one of those people who often is in the background, always working with us and helping to connect and get, other people on behalf of One Medical, like the chief medical officer on our webinars and all that stuff. So it's actually awesome today, Claire, to have you pull you on this side of the curtain and talk a little bit about One Medical. Most people have a pretty good idea of why you guys are so awesome, but some don't, so I'm going to ask you to talk about that. One of the things that you guys are very uniquely positioned to do is to look at and understand what employees do really need at this time as we're going through this era. And so I'd love for you to share. I know you've prepared some materials on that, so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share that with our audience. So welcome, and let's get into it. How are you doing?
Thanks. Hey, McKelly. I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. Glad to see you.
Yeah, so I'll just dive right in, and hopefully I know this audience is used to hearing from Will Kimbrough, who's our leader, our clinical leader, but hopefully I can live up to his expectations. He's quite funny, so it's hard to sort of meet his bar in terms of presentation, but really glad to be here, and as always, really glad to be working with Sequoia. As McKelly mentioned, we've been working with Sequoia in the Sequoia Tech Program and other programs for a number of years, and it is one of our most valued and favored partnerships. So really glad to be here with you all. For those of you that don't know One Medical, or we might be a new name, we're a membership-based primary care practice, and we're dedicated to improving access to high-quality primary care while creating a better experience. So we've heard some examples of really just wanting to provide better experience for employees, and that's what we do for our nearly 500,000 members now. We have 80 offices across the country in 12 different cities, and we're continually growing. So recently added San Diego, Orange County, we're going to Austin next year. So we're really adding new cities where we can support members across the country very quickly. If you can't make it into one of our offices, we also have virtual care. So like most people, we do have an app these days, so you can use our virtual care 24/7. If you're in the, up in the middle of the night, or you have a toddler who's not feeling well, for example, you can get a hold of one of our providers. It's like having a doctor in the family that you can get really actionable insight from pretty quickly. Our providers that support you and our members virtually and in office are employed by One Medical, and they're salaried. So that reduces the common incentive where providers are rushing from appointment to appointment, and they get 5 minutes with you, or the national average of 16 minutes with you. They have time to listen. They spend the entire time that they're with you. They don't run in and out and see other patients at the same time. So that means that our members can get to things that they might be on their back burner. They might be surprised that they can talk about their mental health or their sleep with their primary care provider, but our providers are able to get that with their One Medical PCP. So this leads us to earn a 90 Net Promoter Score, all of those different ways that we're working with all of our members. We have a 90 Net Promoter Score across the board. So that puts us with some of the top brands in terms of customer experience that you may know. So really providing a great experience for all of our members. And we are working within the system. So on the next slide there, McKelly, it has a little bit of how we're working with our employer partners. So we now work with 7,000 plus companies to offer a benefit to employers that attract and retains their talent, engages their employees in living a healthier and more productive life, and it, combining virtual care and access and being able to get into a same or next day appointment reduces overall cost of care over time. We also are rolling out resources around returning to the workplace in a program that we're calling Healthy Together. which is included with the Sequoia Tech program as well. So the next piece here will be about COVID-19 and how we're adapting. So I know the topic of the webinar series that Sequoia has been leading is around how they are supporting employees, and One Medical is a piece of that. And we have been able to adapt our services very quickly in these trying times. So our clinical leadership and our technology leadership and our marketing leadership are well in the habit with our foundation of working together to take clinical guidance, technical logic, and splashy ways to get members engaged, to combine that and provide really good resources and access for our members. So we've added new ways to access us, including symptom checking and screening right within our app, and remote visits. You can now schedule a video visit ahead of time. That never existed before. We stood up in a week. So it's been really impressive to see the teams working together to get new services launched for the way that people need to use healthcare today to take care of underlying chronic conditions, or actually to help them with COVID-19. So we've been able to set up testing in all of the markets where we have clinics. And we actually partnered with Sequoia to set up a testing location in their San Mateo parking lot, which we are very appreciative of the Sequoia partnership to be able to do that. We've already performed over 2,000 tests at that location alone, and then just providing education and resources for members. There's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation out there, so giving them clinical voice that they can trust as well. And then for employers, again, putting together resources that you all can leverage, and we created Sequoia-specific resources, including the One Medical Playbook, if you want to read through how our Chief Quality Officer thinks about returning to the workplace and the key pieces of that. You can use our daily screener if you're interested. I know Sequoia also has an excellent one, so an option for you. And then we're providing support for employers in that specific endeavor through an implementation team. So I think, I know we're short on time, Michele, so I just think that this is a great example of how we're continuing to provide support to the tech program, and love being a part of it and love working with all of the customers that come to Sequoia through Sequoia Tech.
Well, thank you, Claire.
Yeah, I want to make sure Jordan has some time. So I think we are seeing good utilization across the board.
Yeah, very kind. Thank you very much. And it has been great. You guys, your engineering team, and just the innovation again, and the shared vision of how to really take care of folks. So thanks. Awesome to have you out. I think you're going to put someone out of a job with that presentation. That's pretty good. So I'd like to invite up Jordan Feldman, and Jordan, as a CEO and co-founder, is actually used to being in front of the scenes, but I will tell you, I've worked with him enough to know that he also has a passion for getting his hands dirty and getting behind the scenes. So yeah, I think you still keep our theme alive here today, Jordan. Welcome. So people who may not be familiar with Rightway, they're one of the most recent additions to the Sequoia Tech kind of vendor bundle, and quickly, I'll let Jordan talk a little bit about the value they play, but it's a really well-loved addition because it's very similar to One Medical and Sequoia. There's a real sense of guidance and taking care of people on a human level, and it also obviously has a great business impact. So Jordan, great to have you. Thanks for calling in. Good to have you here. Maybe talk a little bit today on really the utilization, what you see people are actually using it, because as kind of a guided care concierge role, at least initially where people engage your brand, you actually get to see a lot about what people are actually using. And I think that may be interesting for folks today. So welcome.
It's good to be here, and we certainly have more elegant, smarter, articulate people at Rightway, like One Medical does with Claire, but this is my way of exerting power and influence. I show up myself, so I'm holding out. But I'm really excited to be partnered with Sequoia. Really excited to be partnered with Sequoia and the tech program. We've been working together over the last few months, and we've become a integrated and embedded option for members to really go to and through to navigate healthcare. Healthcare is as complex, as frustrating, as confusing, as expensive as it's ever been for members. And members really need support. They need guidance. They need advocacy. If you look at the latest United Healthcare quarterly results, medical loss ratios were 70% in the previous quarter. That compares to roughly 95% in quarters prior to that. So there's a real and real ability that going and getting the care that they may have used to seek. They're not showing up at the emergency room or urgent care or primary care or the specialist office like they used to. So they're looking at these digital health tools and digital solution like One Medical, like Rightway, to really fill this void. There's a hesitancy, there's a skepticism, there's a true fear of procuring care like it was procured prior to COVID. So members are really looking and searching and trying to find ways to solve that void. Now, we launched with the Sequoia Tech Program about 2 months ago. We're covering close to the 70,000 members on the platform, and we're seeing really high engagement. Members really appreciate this doctor and the family approach. Having someone they can ask questions to, having they can get guidance to. If we go to the next slide, we can see a little bit about what they're using it for, what some of the interaction sets are. Are they trying to understand their benefits better? Are they trying to find primary care? You could see right at the very top that mental health in the last 2 or 3 months is the dismally high inquiry from our members. So they're stressed out, they need a psychiatrist or psychologist, they need telepsychiatry, and those are some of the hardest things to find in healthcare. So to the Rightway Care Concierge platform that's embedded within the Sequoia PX experience, they talk to their navigator, they get the help, the support, the guidance, the steerage to the best service intensity of service. I'll go quick, now we have a few minutes left. If you just click through the next few slides. Members are really, I think, what Rightway really prides itself on is giving every member of the Sequoia Tech platform a doctor in their family. And when you have a doctor in your family, you have someone who knows healthcare, someone who knows your plan and your plan design, and can really take you through the nuances and intricacies, serving as that advocate, serving as that quarterback. So there's testimonials here that I won't bore you with, but we can flip to the next page and then probably the last piece of this. More use cases, it's a lot of what we expect. It's medication, it's prescription drugs, it's telehealth, it's urgent care. The landscape for healthcare has changed. But the last piece of this is how it all ties together. We want to be able to show CFOs how Rightway as a navigation and advocacy platform embedded in the Sequoia PX platform is making an impact on user engagement, on user satisfaction, and ultimately total cost of care. So we're going to be able to provide you analytics and insight to really understand what the members of your population are utilizing and how it's impacting all of the different healthcare components within the organization. So you got a minute. I know we could have went longer, but I'm going to throw it back to you to
awesome.
Finish up.
Well done. No, I think they got the nuggets of it. Very slick stuff. And again, congrats and thank you for taking care of our mutual people so well. My compliments to you and your team. So just last minute closing, a couple quick announcements. First of all, thank you guys. We so appreciate having your voice part of the conversation. We appreciate it at Sequoia, and I know our audience appreciates it too. So thank you for making the time and being here today to share. Our next webinar, we actually have a webinar that we are going to co-host with Wilson Sonsini. You heard, I believe, Heather mentioned the 650, which is the policy engine. So that was great synergy on the Wilson Sonsini side, who of course, masters in this policy, navigation, if you will, that's happening. And it's a nice complement. So, good if you bring your GC or anyone for your legal or finance team as well, should be some good stuff there. We'll also kind of revisit some of the previous themes and kind of do a little bit of a mashup in case you missed some of the other webinars. So excited about that. We also have a webinar coming up. This isn't on the schedule yet, but it will be soon. And there's next one following, just to give it a quick plug, will be basically, top things we've learned with the first, 20 clients going on return to work and going through that process, just sharing a lot of the best practices and insights and discussions and trends that we're seeing with people when they're really, rubber's meeting the road on the return to work execution. So look for those coming up as part of the series. Excited to share that. The return to work playbook, I plug every webinar is still there. Check it out. It's on the site. And again, like, you know, I always end with this slide because, you know, it's why we love doing what we do. We get to do it with a lot of amazing people. And I think it's so appropriate for Sequoia Tech because it is really the keel of what has always stabilized that program, which is the participation and partnership from everyone around the common cause. So thank you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Go out there, be well, make sure to recharge here in the summer months. And we look forward to talking to you in our next webinar coming up. Take care.